Cool. So, well, I was just saying thank you for coming to the Red Lorry Film Festival Take 2. Extraordinarily special evening for us. Two stalwarts here, one from the cool confines of Kunur, who's made his way to Mumbai for this. And I was saying Mansoor from the cool confines of Kunur and Aamir, of course, from the badlands of Bandra. Ashish and I are, we live here at the venue. So as I was thinking about this dais, I think one of the things that really both of you personify is a principle of less is more. I think your careers and your work really speak to that idea. And that's rare in an age when clearly what we see around us is a lot of more is more. Because we're just fresh off the film viewing, perhaps we start within that context and have both of you comment on the difficulty of making a film as subtle, as poignant as this one, back in an era when this was rare.
मुझे तो सटल बिल्कुल नहीं लगी है अभी देख रहा था मुझे लगा बहुत ओवर किया हम लोगों ने है ना अच्छा वो दीवार भी हिल रही थी जब मैंने चाकू रखा टक 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 प्रोडक्शन डिजाइन भी प्रॉब्लम था
So honestly in the era you shouldn't say honestly but I'm always honest in that era this was definitely subtle compared to what is happening.
That's true.
And the other thing is that my tendency, I mean, I was not planning to be a filmmaker and I had no clue what I was getting into. But one thing intuitively I realized that sometimes more destroys your thinking, like, whether it be the actor's expression or whether it be the dialogue, But sorry guys, I made a huge mistake in this film. The background music is just overdosed.
Yeah.
So
I was going to mention that as well.
Yeah.
Today we would have a totally different sound.
We needed louder mics. So, yeah, it is my style, and I'm comfortable with that. But it also depends on, it should suit the story, And all in all, we didn't think about it. We just did it, and it worked.
Your views, Aamir, on of course, on the principle. Hopefully, we have consensus. If not, would love provocation.
No, well, actually, maybe for that time it was a very different film. I remember that the kind of films that were being made at that time were quite a lot of violence, and as an audience, I used to find them very harsh and many of them quite crude. So that was my reaction. I don't want to, sound judgmental. Each one has our own taste. But it came at a time when there was a different kind of cinema play. And even I would go so far as to say that cinema viewing had, at that time, if I remember correctly, had become a very male activity. Families and women would hesitate to go to a theatre. They sometimes didn't feel comfortable. You remember Ashish that time? So, ज़्यादातर बहुत ही action फिल्में चल रही थी, and it was a different environment, I would say. And in fact, when the film was about to release, I used to often tell Mansoor, हमारी film देखेगा कौन? मतलब ये इतने अलग सुर की है, from what was happening at that time.
I don't watch films. I have no idea.
So I think that what really worked for the film was the fact that it was so fresh for that time. At that time, this sur was extremely unusual sur to take. Today, when I see it, I feel it's pitched, much higher than I would pitch it today. If I made a film like this, I would pitch it much lower and more real. I would play it more real. But I think for that time, it was way ahead of what was happening at that time. And I think that's why it really touched a strong chord with audiences, which had suddenly felt that hum ab theatre aa sakte hain. And that's, I think, for me, I always count QSQT, and I give the credit to Mansoor, that the film that Mansoor made is like a milestone, It changed from that film onwards. Mainstream Indian cinema started going through a change. That was the first film which brought that about, I feel.
I apologize.
Well, we need you to do that again. This is a right moment for something like that. Well, along those lines, right? I think both of you pointed out what could have been different, right? So you were saying that the background score is perhaps a bit heavy now that you think about it, and even then, okay.
Just after.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'm a lot into music. Actually, one of my motivations to make this film, apart from proving to my father that I'm not a useless guy, after wasting a lot of his money, and actually the film I was making was Jojita, because that is about that. A useless guy who has to prove himself. But one of my motivations, what I found, I used to hate shooting. I take too much stress. Was the recording of the songs, selecting the song, the arrangement, recording it and shooting it. So I was a bit more towards music. So ये गलती शायद background music पे मेरी चली गई. And also I didn't understand background music. So background music is supposed to punctuate. In some scenes it can take over, but otherwise it should be. And now
You should not notice it.
Yeah, and पता नहीं है. So that mistake is mine, not Anand Millin's.
Correct me if I'm wrong. Didn't you go to IIT Bombay and MIT?
Yeah, I dropped out of there.
He dropped out of both.
I was just thinking.
I'm a professional dropout.
So am I.
Well, I want to be a dropout next life. Clearly it works out, and you can make films like that and say you're useless, and you want to prove something to your dad. It's not bad for going against the trend.
It was not nepotism. Huh? I would have never done it if my dad was practicing nepotism. I had a sense. I had made a video film before that.
Yeah, he had made a film called Umberto, which is a beautiful film.
Yeah.
Umberto is a classic. Unfortunately, nobody can see it. If it's on video, it can't be. Well, now you can screen it here. Yeah, you should put it on YouTube or something. People should watch that film.
I'm going to put it on YouTube.
So, deadly film. Very good.
So that I wrote that script. It was meant to be a 20-minute film. It turned out to be a 1 hour 40-minute film with songs and background music. It was the first film shot on video. Nobody had a video camera in India then. 84 I'm talking about. 83 or 82, yeah. So that gave me a sense after people saw it. And
No, it was before 83.
yeah.
It was 81, 82.
Yeah. So that gave me a sense. You should evaluate yourself properly. Many people come and say, I want to write, I want to be a writer, I want to be a director, I want to be an actor. So I'm saying, great, you should have your, visions and dreams and all that. But you should also be honest with yourself. So you spend some time, evaluate yourself. So I love storytelling, I hate direction. I like storytelling, and that's why nobody trusts me. So, इसको जोक समझ नहीं आया.
मुझे भी समझ में नहीं आया. Can you explain it?
Ask my wife. So that's basic.
Achha, that's it.
So I was not nervous. I was nervous about the shooting, but I was convinced about the screenplay. And my dad had written the screenplay. I helped him a little bit later. This was basically his idea. So that's how it is. What's your question? I forgot.
It was actually, you've answered it. It was, I love that idea, right? That you make a film to prove a point, right? And in this case, the point you wanted to prove was that you can tell stories, right? You can do something with the ideas you had.
Actually, I have to correct that. Sorry. Mansoor keeps making up these things as he goes along. So nowadays he claims that he was doing it to prove something to his dad. So abhi is very convenient to say that. इतने साल निकल गए. But जब हम लोग फिल्म बना रहे थे, let me just tell you, Mansoor was madly passionate about filmmaking. One second, don't interrupt. No, don't interrupt. So Mansoor was madly passionate about filmmaking, and both of us were so all the time we were like kidas in filmmaking. So there was no difference between his intensity and mine towards cinema. There really wasn't. While we were doing it, while he was doing QSQT, while he was doing Jojita, the process may have been irritating and difficult and challenging for you, but you were totally into it. There was no distance between you and what you were doing. Constantly 24 hours 7, he used to be living that. It is only when he quit films and he moved on and now 30 years later he looks back and says, why? This I did for that, this I did for that. No. He was doing it for the love of cinema that time. अभी कुछ भी बोल रहे थे उसको हाँ. Fact बात बोल रहा हूँ मैं. नहीं. हाँ yeah.
Just to add to what you're saying, Aamir, a parent, I've always heard this story, so I wanted you to say yes or no from this. You had actually argued so much with Nasir Sahab to change the climax of the film. He wanted a happy ending.
No, let me tell you, he has changed the whole script. So Nasir Sahab, Shashank was directing the film. I was acting in it. Nuzat, me and Nasir Sahab were writing the screenplay.
I was nowhere in this.
He was writing Jojita that time. I mean his own script, which turned out to be Jojita. So Nasir Sahab fell ill and he had to go through a bypass operation and he couldn't work for a long time. And then he told Mansoor, "Yaar, meri script ready. If you like it, you can direct it. It's ready to go." So Mansoor heard the script. He liked the story, and he said, "Yeah, I like it. I'd like to work on it, but I need some changes." So Nasir said, "हाँ हाँ, अभी तुम director हो, तुम changes करो, आप हम लोग बैठते हैं." So Nasir Sahab now became the writer. Nasir Sahab, me and Nuzat. Mansoor came in and changed pretty much about 80% of everything of what had earlier been written. And for Nuzat and me, it was a relief because we used to find it difficult to fight with Nasir Sahab. His thinking was slightly different from ours. And when Mansoor came in, then the script started going the way we were enjoying it. So often it was Mansoor, Nuzat and me on one side and Nasir Sahab on the other side saying कि तुम लोग ने कितनी फिल्में बनाई हैं, हम लोगों ने अभी तक नहीं बनाई, तो तुम लोग क्या बकवास कर रहे हो? So they used to have a lot of fights and all of that. But finally he used to give in because he always said, "You're the director, so you take the final call." You know, I'll give an example so you'll know the difference. You know, I saw this scene, where I'm getting, Juhi is getting engaged and Goga Kapoor finds out I'm outside, he calls me in, he calls up Dilip Dayal and all that. And I come to know, कि Panda food gaya now, everything is out in the open. Anyway, I don't leave from there, I'm waiting outside, I hear the engagement happening, I'm heartbroken, I know I've lost her, I don't know what to do, I'm at wit's end. And then I come home. Now, in the original script that Nasir Sahab had wanted and he was directing, there was a big confrontation scene here. Because at that time, confrontation scenes were a big thing. You know, you tell your father off and your father tells you off. And there were lines like, "Hum aapke nafrat ke waris nahi banna chahte hain," and all that. Just because you guys are fighting, we... तो उस टाइप का कुछ dialogue exchange था. And I was very uncomfortable with that scene always. I used to feel कि ये कितना odd scene है यार. I've just lost the girl I'm in love with and my dad is about to kill me. And I'm arguing with him. I mean, no self-preservation at all.
I've not read that.
That was the original.
Not read that.
That was the original.
I mean,
dialogue bazi thi. So anyway, when Mansoor came in and so many things were changing, then I tried to also, show some courage and said, "यार ये scene तो एकदम गलत है." तो शशांक said कि गलत क्या है मतलब इसमें तुम, I said, "But Shashank, I'm not in a state of mind to say all these lines." So he said, "What will you do?" I said, "I'll cry." तो he said, "अच्छा, हमारा हीरो रोएगा." I said, "हाँ, शशांक रोएगा." इस वक्त उसकी लाइफ डिस्ट्रॉय हो चुकी है, वो और क्या करेगा? So that was a really new. So I'm trying to give you the difference. The conventional thing would have been a confrontation scene with the father.
He said, "मैं उसको इतना मारूंगा."
हाँ.
कि उसको भूल जाएगा. His line was like that. So it was written in that. Yeah, Dilip Dayal's last line with Alok.
With Alok Nath. I'm going to beat him up so bad.
With that in mind, But
when we were flipping the scene around.
Yeah.
So earlier it was more, more, and with us coming in, I think it brought a different flavor and taste, I think.
Now, talking about the sad end, I think you asked about that.
Yeah.
So when these guys were working, and I was not there, my dad's intention, my dad had a great sense of what the audience likes, and about also what phase of cinema is going on. He was very cued in. So he felt that a good love story hasn't come for a long time, and he had visualized it in the Romeo and Juliet tragic love story. That was his starting point, and he wrote it that way. But later, after again, I fought a lot and the scenes changed, and he felt, no, ये कहानी तो अच्छी जा रही है. then why should we have a sad ending? So he started changing his mind, leaning towards
A happy.
a happy ending. You know, and also because he made one film, which is an excellent film, which most of you would not have seen. Baharo Ke Sapne, Rajesh Khanna's second film. His first
Acha piya tumhe pyar.
Yeah, it's a brilliant film, black and white.
Chunri samal kori. Great songs.
Yeah. And it was something he wrote in his college days and he got a prize for it. And it was a social message story. And the heroine die as inadvertent. झगड़ा उनका नहीं है, झगड़ा मिल वालों का है और यूनियन का है और उसका है उस बीच में. So it was a very good.
It was a great film actually.
Yeah. But when my dad went in for, he had a habit to go first show, he'll stand outside quietly when the audience is coming out. He'll hear what they're saying. And I'm also going to do that. So don't put on these faces, okay? And he got destroyed. Because people walking out were saying, hey, Nasir Hussain ka dimag kharab ho gaya. Because they were expecting that. The romance, the comedy, the love, all that stuff. So it's sad that he didn't have conviction in his own work. He went and shot a happy ending in 2 days and released it. It didn't make a difference. And unfortunately, on TV when it comes, you'll see the happy ending, and I feel that was a real waste. So one second. But this is a little cue to be writers. So my dad had written all the scenes, but suddenly he wants to switch the end to a happy ending. पर उन्होंने सीड किया है कि ढलते सूरज के साथ तस्वीर लेने से आदमी जल्दी मर जाता है.
दोनों की lifelines. It's been seeded many times.
So it is seeded
in the writing.
And if they are going to be the scenes, and I was writing a lot of the scenes myself. So in my mind, I was totally convinced where it's going. So before we were leaving for the shoot, I still had not written the climax. So every day my father would ask me, climax likha kya? Oh shit, tension. Likha kya? So one day I finally sat down and I mull over things. I sat down and I started typing on my laptop and it flowed into the tragic ending. But then I finished that tragic ending. I said, wait a minute, Daddy will not accept this. So I went back and from one point I could take it. It was a 4. From this point you can either take it tragic or you can make it happy. So I wrote some happy ending. During the shoot, Daddy used to call me. He never came on the set except once. He used to call me. We were in Bangalore. अच्छा shooting कैसी गई? हाँ good. Happy ending shoot किया? मैंने कहा नहीं अभी तो sad ending में shoot नहीं किया. But we went in for the sad ending, and I was done. But now I have to shoot the happy ending. Now the episode. Now we are ready to shoot the happy ending. First shot. क्या होता है ना वो गन ऊपर करता है जूही आ रही होती है पीछे गोगा आ रहा है तो जूही shouts Raj, so he points his gun up. So for the happy ending, that was the shift in the fog, and suddenly he hears a male voice, Rashmi. So he turns here. He says, oh shit, this is the bigger threat, and he kills him.
So actually Goga Kapoor kills him.
It would be a comedy. So, but the real comedy is that Goga Kapoor पता नहीं उनका लुढ़कने का शॉट तो नहीं लिया.
लिया था उसका लुढ़कने का लिया था ये.
Hi, my memory.
We were trying to shoot where he's dying and
Oh no, we were shooting that. So
happy end में वो मरते हैं, बाकी हम लोग सब happy.
कैमरा ऐसा है, उनका क्लोजअप है, and blood लगा हुआ है, dying words he's remembering, and all the people had come around. When the camera starts, all the people are supposed to come around, and then he says a few words. Okay,
I'm sorry,
whatever. And he dies. So I would say, okay, ready. Sound, camera. Before I could say action,
somebody should
start laughing. Either Dilip Kyle or
either me. So कोई ना कोई हंसने लगता.
Cut. Okay, we go on now. Touch up, blood, ये वो. Take 2. Sound, camera, female laughing. तीसरी बार जब हुआ तो गोगा कपूर ने कहा सालो तुम हंस रहे हो मैं मर रहा हूँ यार. That was the answer to why it should not be happy. It
We
proved
couldn't
itself.
shoot it only.
It
We were
proved
laughing
itself
while we were
there.
shooting it. So we shot it, but we didn't edit it also.
I didn't see it.
No, I haven't not seen it.
I mean, just incredible how much content you've just given us. Right? One, didn't know about your singing skills being so stellar. We'll come to that. Yours. You sang to. You just.
Oh.
That was me.
No.
When did you start singing?
I'm going chronologically. Right? Second, with all the stories he's shared about how his dad and him went through this whole process. You know, the song has new meaning altogether.
Which one?
Papa. Talking about the changes, is it true that the name of the movie also changed?
Yes.
Yeah.
So my dad always used to do this, when he had his film ready. He would, in his office, he would announce a prize for anybody who comes up with a suitable title. And he knew that he was not going to take any of them. तो कोई आता था उसकी अलग मजबूरी है तो महंगाई बहुत है करके that kind of title.
All the people who wanted a raise would give those titles.
So in the end, my dad would always come out with the title. And for this, we, very subtle people and all that. हम लोग we were coming up with names like नफरत के वारिस, जो कि डायलॉग अभी भी है.
I remember that.
वो रह गया.
Yeah.
That was the name.
Nafrat ke. No, but meaning wise, बहुत suit होता है. Because they get nafrat in their virasat.
Yeah, but why do we have to be so
literal.
in the face? तो डैडी ने बहुत बजाज किया ये वो.
Doesn't sound like a love story.
No, yeah, it wasn't a very good title. We were also not happy, but we were struggling and all that.
Yeah.
But we had made a poster with Nafrat ke Baris also.
Oh God.
Yeah, you forgot. We shot in Lonavala and all that. And there was the design was that the two of us are running away. And so there's a close-up of us romantic. And the two of us are running in full figure, long, far away. And you're seen through the telescope, gun sight. Nafrat ke Baris.
Where's the
So
poster?
love story with danger. ऐसा
वो poster.
तो अभी भी
वो कभी यूज वो कैंसिल हो गया था. When we changed the title, that
Now nobody will
went for a toss.
I wish you had that. Lovely.
Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak and that poster. Super. But yeah, so how did we come to this name? So my dad, when had had enough, he used to come home, fix his one drink, even drank only one or two. I think maybe after the second one, it clicked. So he called us. So no, Aamir, Mansoor, my sister. एक नाम सोचा है. And he was on the defensive because we were always contesting. सुन लो, argue मत करो, सुन लो. And we were okay. He said, Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. And all three of us were actually dumbfounded. Because it sounded good. But what does it mean? So हमने कहा अच्छा. Aamir said it's good. Nusrat said it's good. I also said yeah, it's good. So then he called a Majru Saab. He didn't want to keep a title which is meaningless or not poetic. Not. He called Majru Saab and Majru Saab gave the thumbs up. And that's how.
But it is Qayamat because there was one incident that happens in the beginning with Dilip Tahil kills his Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak. Actually, the reason why I like the title now because I remember in English saying to Chajan, all of us in a discussion, कि यार it should have a from here to eternity. बहुत famous film आई थी from here to eternity. उस type का कुछ feel होना चाहिए title में. And then he came up with, so it always gave me the feel of that, Qayamat Se Qayamat from here to eternity. So that timeless, like Qayamat is from the beginning of time to now, end of time. थोड़ा उसमें वो feel भी आता है. So that's why I used to like it so much. Not because of the literal Qayamat Se Qayamat.
Well,
So he came up with the
The
title
word
in answer,
Qayamat-
to answer your question.
the word Qayamat.
Or you ask the question. Sorry, you ask the question.
जब फिल्म रिलीज हुई थी तो आपको ऑल यूर फ्रेंड्स एंड काइंड ऑफ थिंग सो आई कॉल्ड इट गैलेक्सी.
हाँ.
मैंने कहा क्या फिल्म की रिपोर्ट क्या है मतलब होता था
हाँ.
तो फोन करके फिल्म. सो वहां से मुझे जवाब मिला कि टाइटल बहुत अच्छा है. आजकल रोजे चल रहे हैं, ईद के बाद ये फिल्म पकड़ेगी।
it had released in Ramzan, you're right. रमजान के 3 हफ्ते हमको क्रॉस करने थे।
बहुत अच्छा है।
और हमने रमजान में इसलिए रिलीज किया था क्योंकि हमको पता था रमजान में और कोई नहीं रिलीज, एटलीस्ट because it's a newcomers, new director, at least there will be no other film to compete with. People will get to experience over 2-3 weeks, and that will give enough time for it to catch. And that's what happened. In the 4th week, it got. Yeah, yeah, it was in Ramzan.
No, a lot of people, when the title came, they said, what is Qayamat? But actually, Qayamat in all poetry and Urdu songs and all is a well-known Urdu word, but people had not figured out what it actually means.
No, I think they know. Yeah. Hindi film called Qayamat, there was a name, a film called Qayamat. And उसपे Qayamat ढा गई, गानों में भी बहुत ही, so people know Qayamat is like doomsday, बहुत बड़ा, बहुत very happening, you know, something disastrous. People know Qayamat what it means. Yeah. But they don't know the phrase Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak throws them off.
But I read in a FilmFare article, and this was when I was also very young, and they said that the definition that you had and you had for Qayamat was different. And you know, when somebody asked you, I mean, this was a very popular thing, and they said, what does it mean? And you had a different interpretation. So you had a different interpretation.
Yeah.
No,
I
means
think we both had different
calamity.
interpretations. It means
It
calamity.
means ultimate calamity. You know, and so it's also used in romance and love.
Yeah.
As an ultimate.
Qayamat की खूबसूरत लग रही हो, Qayamat ढा दी उसने. She was looking so beautiful. So it's used in poetry in different ways, but the literal meaning of the word Qayamat is doomsday, when the world will end. Literal meaning.
Can I ask this question?
Yeah.
It has set a benchmark in Hindi cinema for this young first love story. Of course, ends in a disaster, but two fresh faces.
Tragedy, not disaster. I'm hoping not disaster.
It was not for sure, but two these beautiful young faces being launched, and it became the kind of landmark movie that it is today. But while you were making it, did it ever hit you that this could go on to become and being played 36 years later after its release? Things like that. Did you ever think about it when you made that film?
I had never imagined that. Or did you ever imagine what will happen in the film releases and all that?
No, my yardstick is different. Actually, today is the first time, apart from the premiere, that I'm seeing this film with the audience. I'm a coward. I can't take. यहाँ से भी लोग उठ के जा रहे थे तो मुझे लग रहा था सिर्फ आ गए वापस।
Give them a break. They've seen it 13 times and all.
So my yardstick is, fortunately in all my films, is that I'm convinced about the script, I visualized it, I hopefully executed it, and at the end of the edit and the background music, if I'm happy with it, then it's gone. The boat is launched. So I never follow कैसी चल रही है, वहाँ जाके देखो ये करो वो करो. I don't know.
No, but that's not what he's asking. He's asking, did you ever imagine that it will ever become a big
That's
hit?
what I'm saying. Hits and success is not in my mind. You know, I was sitting and writing some scenes in my office, which is there. It's Dilip Tai's office. It was a scan video office, and there was this ad director. I was writing the scene. And this ad director comes in. He says, "Hey, Mansoor, congrats! I believe you're making a film." I said, "Yeah." Are you planning it to be a bumper, dumper, jumper, God knows what hit? Super hit. So I was shocked. I mean, do people plan that? I was not one of those. So, yeah, I didn't imagine. I was happy with my work. And you know what, Aamir? I was, after the premiere, I was actually, at that time, what was more important for me in life was to get my boat.
Yeah.
So I waited here for 2-3 weeks and at 88%, first week 88%. My dad was thrilled, 88%. I said, "Chal raha." So I said, okay. Then I went abroad and came back after 2 months or something. So my dad said, come to the theatre with me. And Aamir was also there. And I walked into the theatre, a JD Galaxy, one of those, and the thing was packed with young kids. And they knew all the dialogues, they'd seen it. So my dad wanted to show me that. So, and it was true, because my dad always used to say that films don't run on publicity, they run on word of mouth. So obviously, it picked up.
So, I'll also have my answer for your question.
Please.
I actually, before the release of the film, I was so concerned that we got so many things wrong. I used to keep seeing scenes and say कि यार ये scene मैंने ठीक नहीं किया है, वो ठीक नहीं है, यहाँ पे ये problem है, वहाँ पे वो problem है. All these things used to keep circling in my head, So, which is still circling in my head. When I see the film, I'm like, वो ठीक नहीं, वो ठीक नहीं. That's how I think. So that's the state of mind I was in. So I was really not expecting it to be received so well, and it just took off. And the kind of love it got, and it suddenly overnight people started recognizing me, and I was really not prepared for it. I had not imagined that it would be so successful that, as you said, so many years later would be sitting here and still watching the film. So I had no idea. I was just too stressed that we had not made a very good film.
What was born? Aamir, what was your life like after the movie released? Like before that, you went out, going out,
Yeah.
putting those posters everywhere.
Yeah. Well, the big change was that suddenly I was recognized everywhere, and so I used to get stopped on the road, and I mean at that time I was using mostly public transport, so I used to get mobbed, and I used to get I couldn't go anywhere. People would stop me, and I was going on an auto, and car came and stopped me and said, "We'll drop you. Auto se utro." Sir, auto wale be, मेरा भाड़ा गया. Anyway,
हालांकि ऑटोज ने सबसे ज्यादा पब्लिसिटी की थी. You wouldn't put it on autos.
yeah, some of them used to put, some of them used to not put. Not Juim, Zuchi and Nuzer. So we used to request the taxi guys and auto guys क्या sticker है.
कोई डायरेक्टर में बिल्कुल भरोसा नहीं.
नहीं भरोसा था, लेकिन थोड़ी बहुत एक्चुअली प्रॉब्लम वाज फिल्म बन गई थी, हम लोगों को कुछ काम नहीं था करने को. अभी रिलीज होने वाली है, हम लोग घर पे बैठे हैं, कुछ करने को है नहीं. बोले यार कुछ तो निकालो, स्टिकर निकालो, कहीं जाके लगा दे, कुछ तो करें. आई कांट सिट जस्ट वेटिंग फॉर थिंग्स टू हैपन. सो व्हाटएवर लिटिल वी कुड डू वी ट्राइड. सम ऑफ देम यूज्ड टू पुट इट, सम ऑफ देम कौन है हीरो. आई सेड मैं हूं. Then just look at me. One of them even gave a dialogue. He said, "Director कौन है?" तो I said, "Mansoor Khan." कौन है वो? I said, "नासिर हुसैन का बेटा." अच्छा. हीरो कौन है? I said, मैं. तुम कौन हो? I said, मैं उनका भतीजा हूँ. तो ये gave a classic line. नासिर हुसैन को क्या हो गया है? अपने बेटे को डायरेक्टर बना रहा है, अपने भतीजे को हीरो बना रहा है, ये तो फ्लॉप है. मैं नहीं लगाऊंगा स्टिकर, ऐसे मत लगाओ.
So just
We had all kinds of reactions.
Just the way that Aamir was critical about which scenes he didn't do well and all that. In those days, we used to have trials. So we shot for say 20-30 days, and there was no piracy and this and that, And we used to call people to the theatre. My dad. And after and we had shot in our very first sketch. The film was not complete, but a lot of it was there, and the end was there, and the end was tragic. So when we used to come out of the theatre, my dad, who was not yet convinced, he would be surrounded by all the elders, Raijas, his friends, Madhva uncle, and they would be, and the kids would be standing on another side, and I was with them. So after a bit of talk, my dad said, "Mansoor, इधर आओ, इधर आओ." विजय क्या बोल रहे थे? मास्टर साहब, इतनी अच्छी फिल्म चल रही थी, इतनी अच्छी फिल्म चल रही थी, एंड में क्या कर दिया? It's terrible. It won't work and whatever. So I had my answer ready. I said, "Hey guys, come here." So all the youngsters would come. So daddy would say, "Film kaisi?" "Arey, it's superb. The sad editing is fantastic." So I told my dad, "That's your audience." And yeah, that theatre was full of young people. When I first saw, I said, "Oh, what's happening?"
Is it true, Mansoor, that you actually don't watch movies?
I was never a cinema lover. हाँ मैं ऐसे ही बोल रहा है. I never.
No. You never watched movies, and neither did I. None of us watched movies.
I only watch my dad's films and
Yeah.
criticize them like hell.
No, both of us watched very
And after
few
I
films.
criticize everything,
I also watched
he would
very
say-
few films in my whole life.
Yeah. After my,
But that doesn't mean we are not passionate about cinema.
Of course.
yeah.
No, and you know,
देखो, कुछ लोग फुटबॉल देखते हैं और कुछ लोग फुटबॉल खेलते हैं.
I thought tennis was your.
समझा? कुछ लोग फुटबॉल देखते हैं और कुछ लोग खेलते हैं. हम
कुछ
लोग
लोग-
देखते नहीं, हम लोग खेलते हैं.
कुछ लोग रमजान में रिलीज करते हैं, कुछ लोग ईद पे.
हाँ, yeah.
I wish they had a mic. I'll just give it a mic.
So, just wanted to tell you that we are 3 generations sitting over here. My mom and my daughter. So, you can imagine, what Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, after watching it so for such a long time.
How old are
every
you?
time-
Your daughter, how old is your daughter?
She's 12.
12.
She's
How did
just
you like the
stepping into
film?
13, and which is why I'm
Oh,
coming.
you loved it, huh?
Yeah.
Oh.
At the end, I thought that, at
At the end, you thought?
the end, I thought that they must have taken the idea from Romeo and Juliet. only.
We have
And
actually.
then
It is.
somehow I got convinced.
Yeah, the basic idea is Shakespeare.
So, between Jo Jeeta Wahi Sikandar and Qayamat Se Qayamat Tak, which one is your favorite? I mean, yeah,
Mine.
also Mansoor's favorite.
Between the two,
Well,
I think I like Jojita better.
No, so actually, the reason why my dad was writing QSQT and I was writing Jojita, because that was the film I wanted to make, and that film also, every writer, his first book will be something that he understands best, and I understood what it is to be a useless bum who doesn't want to do anything and has to prove himself in life. Yeah, but I am really happy that QSQT came first because I was not able to. It's a complex film. I was not able to write it, and I didn't have a sense of it in the audience. So I shelved that, and we made QSQT, and it became a hit. I'm so glad I didn't make it. I would have destroyed Aamir's career forever.
If Jojita had come first,
Yes.
no.
I had
ऐसा
not
कुछ-
written it.
नहीं ऐसा कुछ
I went, अरे क्या बात कर रहे हो?
नहीं वो भी सही होता है ऐसा कुछ in fact that would have been a more dynamic start.
Oh, okay.
हाँ.
One sec. I changed everything in that film. Originally, there was no father in Jojita. There was an elder brother who's 12 years older to the younger brother, and there was a sister in between. पूरा dynamic अलग था.
अच्छा ये वर्जन मैंने सुना नहीं अभी तक.
Yeah. So I wanted to explore. I love characters, and I also like characters define and embellish your script.
Yeah.
If you haven't thought, pretty girl, and all she says is shut up, shut up, shut up. So if that's your definition of the heroine, then come on. So वो actually वो था, and it was interesting. I can still make it as an OTT film.
Why OTT? Why not cinema?
But then I realized that with QSQT, I was forced to understand कि भैया एक तो साइकिलिंग पे फिल्म बना रहे हैं, क्लाइमैक्स रेसेस साइकिलिंग और ऊपर से इतना ऑड रिलेशनशिप्स हैं. There was a sister in between, and she was the the elder brother is like, I earn money. He's gone bald before his age because they have no parents, and he has to work all day and comes back. This guy is bunking.
Traffic around here.
So it was interesting to me how the sister plays a mediator. इधर वो उसको बड़े भाई को समझाती है और इधर आके इसको डांटती है. So I like that, but that's not enough.
The father was introduced.
So then
No,
when I reload,
He writes many versions.
so
And I realized that he writes the version and the previous version he deletes or it gets lost or something. So after that I told him whenever you narrate something to me, give me the hard copy. मेरे को hard copy चाहिए भाई, क्योंकि इसके बाद लफड़ा होने वाला है. Because he constantly changes. Constantly he's changing what he's writing. So that I made a habit. of taking the hard copy from.
That's the drawback of computers.
Because yeah.
Yeah, you take that, and you're reading it again. It was a bright and sunny morning. It was a beautiful day. Now you are thinking of making small changes, but when you keep doing it, but then इसकी शक्ल ही बदल गई.
No, but the best creators are actually tinkerers like that, because it's the process of refining your manuscript so many times over.
That is a major change.
Yeah.
Major change. Understand? I
What's the
understood.
time, guys? I have a
6:49. 6:49.
guess where I'm going. I have a dinner with Mr. Bachchan.
Aamir, what's the occasion?
Occasion वो हम लोग Junaid and we met for KBC ना. तो उसमें कुछ एक बीच में हम लोग जीते थे. वो कुछ in 20 seconds or 30 seconds you have to give all answers correct, which we gave. So then you get invited to his house for dinner. हाँ, तो we have won it. जीत के जाए. What's the time? 10 minutes more. I'll leave at 7. Huh?
5 minutes before now. Just give me 5 minutes to speak to the audience. Sure, of course.
अभी बात
नहीं,
करें.
अभी नहीं.
अभी
अभी टॉपिक वो वाला था.
अच्छा. ओहो, इसकी बुक बाहर निकल गई. देखो ये बहुत संकी आदमी है. आजकल ये बुक्स लिख रहा है. So wherever he is, he starts peddling his books. तो अभी तुम लोगों को जरा captive audience मिल गई इसको छोड़ने वाला नहीं. But I have to say, it is a stunning book. It's an amazing book, so I would recommend all of you should read.
आपने अभी OTT का जिक्र किया था, and clearly you all are not watching too many films. You all are reading and writing. We rarely get the chance to speak to people like you. For both of you, right? And I know you're already working on films, so perhaps it's a more complex question for Mansoor. If you were to make a film at this moment, right? And there are, okay.
This lot of people ask, I'm so lucky that I left at the right time, and people say, oh, why don't you come back? You made such good films. I said, if I come back, I make such a bad film. You say, why don't you go away? So, it's honestly like that. I'm not the same person. There are other guys who are doing the job much better in that zone, So my zone has shifted. But the question is, aren't you going to make another film? Yes, I would love to convert this to a screenplay. Fortunately, Aamir has loved it.
Yeah, so I hope that you and I we are planning to work together on the screenplay.
Yes.
In the coming months.
Yeah.
That's incredible.
That's for sure.
Okay.
As soon as Aamir gives me his dates.
Aamir, before you came, all of us have seen this movie umpteen times. Yet everyone has that, some kind of memory attached to the movie. What memories do you have about QSQT?
Oh my god, so many memories. Yeah. I mean, each time when I was watching the scenes, I could remember what was happening at that time. हम scene जब shoot कर रहे थे, उस वक्त actually हम लोग off the scene क्या कर रहे थे. So I have memories. Every moment I get provoked with so many memories. I don't know which one to tell you. This last scene when when Juhi dies, and I come running and I pick her up and I say, Rashmi, and so I had to really prep and all that, Rona, you. So I got really first take, I got really charged. I got really, got myself emotionally ready. Mansoor was all set. And he said action and I came running. And according to me, I thought I gave a brilliant take. Rona, ye sab kiya hai. Cut. So I said, what happened? I didn't understand what was happening. So Mansoor said, and everyone's laughing. So I said, ki has kyun hai? Apparently I was saying Juhi too. Juhi. So मुझे idea नहीं कि मैं जूही बोल रहा हूँ. मुझे लगा मैं रश्मि बोल रहा हूँ. So at the end of it, I was like, what happened? They said, you're saying Juhi. I said, what? So then we had to do it again. You remember?
She is a thorough professional. She didn't cut the shot.
No, Juhi is a fantastic actor. मानना पड़ेगा. She was, I think over time I may have caught up with her, but initially she was way ahead of me as an actor.
No, the truth is
that she was way ahead.
The truth is that Aamir in this film, Juhi overshadows him in performance. But Aamir has certain scenes which he kills them. Emotional scenes, crying scenes, those kind of. He was a little uncomfortable with the other casual scenes, and that even he realized.
Even
So,
the Papa Kehte, that's what I think a lot of people hope. That's the first time the soft hero.
yeah. So that was another point of contention with my father. Because my father always had a flamboyant hero. वो romance करता है वो लड़की को
पटाता है. His heroes all been Shammi
he has
Kapoor,
all the
Dirsa,
right lines, he has all
Shashi
the-
Kapoor,
he has all
Rishi
the
Kapoor,
one-liners.
romance,
So-
humor.
So maybe he, if he was directing it, he would visualize it that way. तो ऐसे नहीं है, हमारा हीरो ऐसा नहीं है. उसका इंट्रोडक्शन सीन क्या होना चाहिए, उससे मुझे समझ में आएगा. तो आई एम सेइंग कि so different days I used to come and say different things.
He's written about 30 introductions for Raj. I'll narrate one of them.
I'll learn.
अच्छा, you narrate now. Every day she says, "Hey, Raj का नया introduction."
See, I'm a primitivist. I love anthropology. So I was imagining my heroes also into, primitivism. So मैंने कहा हाँ, डैडी वो क्या है? It starts like this. That it starts with the jungle shot, top shot, and two boys are walking on a path. The camera slowly comes down, and you hear them saying, "यार कितना चलना पड़ेगा ये साला राज भी कहाँ भाग गया है?" And the camera is tracking over the trees.
Shooting on top.
Shooting on the top, trees in front, two guys down. Raj बड़ा बदमाश है, हम लोग को छोड़ के चला. Where the hell is he? And then we reveal that he is actually tracking them on the trees. So
He's traveling on the trees.
So he's jumping from one tree to the other. So my dad said, "अच्छा, तो हमारा हीरो बंदर है."
No, but I remember one more that you wrote. So, see, they get lost in the forest, and he manages quite fine and all that. So, one of the introductions, Mansoor, it begins with this guy. He's late at night, the lamp is on, and he's doing something. कुछ पढ़ रहा है, कुछ लिख रहा है, कुछ बना रहा है. You don't know what he's doing, but there's a lot of focus on it. And then suddenly you see that one snake enters from the window behind, and it's a massive cobra. And it's coming slowly, and it comes to his chair, and it starts going up the chair. And he's not aware that cobra aa raha hai. And it comes slowly, and finally it comes right behind him, and its thun opens like that. It's right over here. And Raj, while he's doing something, notices him and pats him and continues. You realize it's his pet. So he's into animals. And he's got animals all around him, snakes ke saath ghumte rehta hai. That's why when he's in the forest, he manages so well. So that was one of the introductions written for him.
And what did my dad have to say about it?
He didn't like that. Hey, गाना होना चाहिए, Papa, and that's where he came with Papa कहते हैं.
So just one
हम
question.
लोग थोड़े और realistic type के थे. He was more flamboyant, I think.
आमिर,
मंसूर, a
इतने
question.
सालों के बाद जब आप फिल्म देख रहे हैं तो आपको लग रहा था कि ये सीन और बेटर कर सकता था, या ऐसा लग रहा कि नहीं पहले बार में मैंने कमाल कर दिया?
नहीं, मुझे दोनों चीजें लगी. कभी-कभी मुझे लगा कि ये बहुत बुरा है, मुझे ऐसा नहीं करना चाहिए था, और कभी-कभी मुझे लगा, ओह, ये इनोसेंस में कभी दोबारा ला नहीं पाऊंगा.
That's what I meant.
वो जो मोमेंट है ना, you can't try and you can't bring it again. So I was feeling both the things. कि अच्छा भी किया और बुरा भी किया. What were you asking?
Yeah, I have a question. When you just said that Juhi overshadows Aamir in the film to a large extent, but you've always challenged. I mean, Joji the way Sikandar, I think Mamik was a very author-backed role, and everyone said that, and even Akele Tum Akele Hum. So there's a very strong character.
He's always been against
Yes,
me.
so I think you've really challenged him at all times. Is that
No, I'll tell you one more.
Yeah.
Which is something I realized when we were shooting Jaane Tu Ya Jaane Na. So, and by then I...
that film, by the way.
Yeah. So, so I didn't realize when that was going on. I used to see the trials or even the shot. I used to feel that Aamir is a little bit more reserved, little bit more tense. He was, and Juhi is doing very well and all that. But when the film released,
You're talking of QSQT.
I'm talking about QSQT.
You said Jan.
I'll tell you that later.
Oh,
Sorry.
I got
No,
confused.
I've gone into this new screenplay style.
So when the film released,
my dad came back home. Aamir is a star. He's this thing, that thing. Juhi ki baat hi nahi hui. So some people have screen presence, and Aamir is gifted with that. ताकि उसके bold scenes भी जो है ना वो उठ जाते हैं.
क्या मतलब मैं लकी हूँ बस? क्या बोल रहा है आदमी यार? तारीफ कर रहे हैं? हाँ? ये क्रिटिसाइज कर रहे हैं?
We are blessing it. What else? So same with happened.
काम अच्छा नहीं किया था, लकी था निकल गया.
The only thing is, like, I just want to warn you on the time because you have dinner. Okay. So, एक question and then we have to give him 5 minutes.
हाँ. Okay, go ahead.
My mom's feeling really shy to ask. She was sitting next to Mansoor sir actually, and she asked him, how come you took 4 years to make the film? So he said I was really indecisive, and as we all know, Aamir sir is the opposite of that. Okay. So my mom was asking how did you all make it work?
How are you on the same page?
No, it's ऐसा कुछ नहीं है कि वो बहुत indecisive है और मैं बहुत decisive हूँ, ऐसा नहीं. I'm also equally indecisive.
No, not indecisive, but
Unorganized, I guess.
I'm
disorganized. Yeah, even I'm very disorganized. So we get along very well because of that.
So anyway.
We're also giving a reference to Jaane Tu.
जाने तो क्या बोल?
So Jaane Tu ka when I went on the shoot, the director was Abbas. But I was there to make sure that things are okay.
According to Aamir sir, which one is your best movie in the sense like right now I just noticed that you said something that I was not comfortable watching such scenes and you yourself said that I was not perfect in this scene and everything. So which one is your perfect movie which you all made in so many years?
Yeah.
Which you feel is the best and the perfect work which you have done?
Which I have done. I'll answer that. I just want to hear what Mansoor is saying. I want him to complete what. So Jaane Tu.
So on Jaane Tu, Imran is my nephew. My sister's heart was into the film. किसी तरह से, you know. So in the shooting, with the shots, and Genelia was the heroine. And Genelia is a very odd person, no? Odd in a good way. When she's sitting, she'll fade into the background. You won't even notice her. But when she comes into the camera, she comes alive.
Yeah, she's amazing.
So after the shot, and because we had, replay on the video and all that. But I didn't need that. I would feel, she's overshadowing Imran. But जब screen पे देखा, that quality Imran has. Same quality. He has screen presence. So even in his quiet, manner, he captures it.
No, but I'm glad that people liked me in QSQT, but I don't think Juhi got any less of a response. I mean, she and I both really kind of zoomed up after that. Both her and I did really well. And yeah.
You have to just tell me about your favorite.
My favorite film? Yeah, I don't know. You've got children? What's your name?
She is my daughter.
One daughter only?
Only one daughter.
अरे यार गड़बड़ हो गई। मेरा पंचलाइन ही खत्म हो गया। 2-4 बच्चे होते आपके तो मैं पूछता आपके बच्चों में से कौन सा सबसे फेवरेट है? तो मेरे लिए ऐसे ही I don't know how to say which is my favorite. It's very difficult.
So see, I have noticed that your cult movie is Secret Superstar and that Tare Zameen Par. Only you can make such films. That is undoubtedly that all these films only you have got that creativity. So you are so much perfectionist in your work that according to you, which one is your best acted movie so far? Which you feel that
in which my work is, which I feel is good.
Which you feel is the best?
I think Dangal.
I would say that.
Dangal is very consistent work. There's only one shot that I did wrong in Dangal. And Mr. Bachchan is so sharp, he got that shot only. Yeah. I said, how you like the film, sir? He said, very good. एक shot में आप character से बाहर आ गए. I said, कौन सा shot? Now I'll tell you which shot. During the wrestling, there's one shot where I stand up and I say, yes. He can never say yes. मतलब वो character महावीर फोगाट yes तो भी life में नहीं बोल सकते. He would have said वाह or something शाबाश. Yes नहीं बोलेगा. Yes is a very English thing. It's a very Mumbai thing. तो वो रह गया edit में यार. बाद में मुझे बहुत feel हुआ रमेश जी ने आपने yes बोला था ऐसे sir. So, you know, every film has one thing which I've done wrong है. कोई perfect एक भी नहीं है. आप सब लोग मुझे perfectionist बोलते हैं. एक film नहीं है जो मेरी perfect है. मैं आपको बोलता हूँ. सब में गलतियाँ हैं. नहीं उसमें तो बहुत गलतियाँ हैं.
अरे गोगा कपूर वो फोन बजता है वो आमिर की गलती नहीं है. अरे तुम लोग ये फोन ठीक क्यों नहीं कराते? एक घंटी बजती है और बंद हो जाता है. He's talking after he's lifted the phone.
Yes.
Bloody hell, I can't tolerate. It was easy. एक घंटी बंदी और बंद हो जाता है. Then he picks it up. After speaking.
Also, sir, I think that's
भागना पड़ेगा यार. हाँ.
you can see there when you're talking about logic and how we unravel it over the years.
Yeah.
You know that part where Julie Chavla, she's like, you know, her father picks up the phone and then she goes up and she doesn't know the parallel connection, you know. It's very easily done that you don't understand that the other one is already in the line.
नहीं, you don't understand. When I was talking to Reena, her mother heard everything. और हमको पता ही नहीं चला था. So I have to rush. You guys continue your conversation.
I won't take more than 3 minutes.